That is about as sweet as it gets for a Texas fan. You clobber Oklahoma and Red River. Then this old rivalry is renewed. You come to their place and you really do a heck of a job dominating them physically and sing your song on the way out, on the way to Atlanta. You get a chance to avenge their only loss of the regular season. They lost at home by 15 to Georgia. Got off to a bad start. Defense actually played well against that Georgia offense. As we check the college football rankings here, Ohio State, how far did they drop? And what's going to happen next week in Atlanta? There've been 7 rematches in the SEC championship game of regular season matchups. Typically, the regular season winner has won 5 out of 7.
Yeah, and this was a mismatch at the line of scrimmage, honestly. And Sark will be the first one to tell you he was shocked by it. He tipped his cap to Georgia. Georgia won up front. I think the whole nation, remember after the game, Kirby and the Georgia team said, nobody believed in us, and they were all fired up about that. And I think they showed up with it, played their best game they played all year. But look at the sacks, the tackles for a loss, behind the sticks. If I remember right, Texas 2 of 15 on third downs that night. So we'll see the adjustments that are made on both sides as they get ready for round 2 next week.
A lot of talking in Athens, too, as the Dogs were very fortunate to escape 8 overtimes against a gutsy Georgia Tech team. The former Aggie, by the way, Haynes King, gave it all he had, but came up short. And the Longhorns celebration continues. It'll be a 100-mile trip.
Good job by Sark. Off the logo. Here we go.
Yep.
Off the logo. No need for that. We can celebrate in other areas. That's how you handle that.
Police are also protecting that logo, if you'll notice.
Smart.
Yeah, take your victory and flip it forward and
right.
Play for bigger things now.
Absolutely.
Texas trying to win it in year 1 in the SEC. And get SMU trying to splash as the ACC champion. Who knows what's going to happen in the Big 12? That's still very much in play. Arizona State secured their spot. How about Clemson, SMU?
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll tell you, Clemson now gets in with that Miami loss. Look at this one. Nobody's talked much about UNLV, but if they end up knocking off Boise State, and that's not that far-fetched, UNLV would end up being the group of 4 team that would end up going into a playoff spot. So we've been assuming it's Boise State, but look out for that matchup this next week.
Guineras wasn't perfect tonight. Gutsy made the big scramble on that ankle early in the game to set the tone. And a touchdown pass, but leaned on Wisner and that offensive line. And Texas, it's hard to see one team that stands out and says, well, they're complete, they're consistent. Is it Oregon? Is it Texas?
I think it's Texas. I mean, Oregon is fast, they're dynamic. It's going to be a lot of fun. What's crazy is when Georgia plays their best, they're really good, right? So who can put it together? Who can string together the consistency to play at their very best? Texas has been pretty much the same team for most of the year, with the exception of when Georgia came to Austin and beat them up pretty good.
Game day's been to the SEC championship game a lot of times. We've had the pleasure of watching that game ringside on the field, just kind of scouting, watching in a suite. We'll get to be in the booth for the very first time. It's our pleasure to bring you the SEC championship game. Yeah, it's different. Both teams figure to be safely in the playoff, no doubt about that. But they'll play for a conference championship in a very charged-up environment. And, of course, that seed and that bye, which is part of the new reality.
And I think let's put the playoff to the side. You heard Sark tell Holly, this is for a chance. And when you're inside a locker room and you compete and you lift weights 12 months out of the year, it's to win a championship. And that's what Sark and the boys will be playing for next week against Kirby and the Dogs.